Welcome to Let the Quran Speak and peace be with you. My name is Umar Chaudhry and I'm your host for this episode. At Let the Quran Speak, we try to clear any misconceptions that exist with the religion of Islam, and to help us with this task, we have Brother Shabir Ali from the Islamic Information and Dawah Center International. Welcome to the show, Brother Shabir.
Let's have some fun.
It's customary for us to begin our show with a portion from the Quran, and in today's discussion, we will be discussing from the 13th chapter of the Quran, verse number 11. So that's chapter 13, verse number 11. What are we speaking of in these verses?
Well, it's a very interesting verse, and it's always recited from pulpits in sermons in the mosques, especially in one portion where it says, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." Of course, our viewers want a translation of that. It says basically, God does not change the condition of a people until they change that which is with themselves or within themselves.
Now, what does that mean? Does that mean if you want to see change, you have to want change? I mean, what are we speaking of when we say change within?
Yeah, it's placing the responsibility for change squarely on people, even though there's a part of the passage here that is not exactly very clear. Does it mean you change what is internal to you, your heart? Does it have to be a heart change? Or does it mean changing things which are within your reach, which means external to you? It could mean both, and this is where the Quran often captures a lot of meaning in a singular statement with this very vagueness. It leaves a lot to interpret and to think about. But basically, yes, it's putting the responsibility for change squarely on human beings. You have to bring about the changes that you want.
So this is to say then, as you mentioned, this is a verse that's really heard over pulpits and stuff. It almost sounds like God is saying that, if you want this change, go out and do it yourselves.
Yes, of course we can never accomplish anything without the help of God, and every power and ability we have all comes from Him. It is the constant Muslim declaration, their confidence and their trust in God. But at the same time, there is no excuse for Muslims to be passive, to just simply let things be as they are. But Muslims have to be active people, and they have to think about how to make the world a better place, both for themselves and for others. And they have to be active in bringing about this sort of change.
Now, is it to say that Muslims shouldn't be expecting God's help? I mean, it's almost to say that you have to do majority of the work, and you'll get somewhere. It seems that we're distancing God from the work itself.
Not really. I mean, we always depend on God and hope for His help. But there is so much that we have to do on our own. If somebody wants to have children, he will go through a normal process. He will develop the means to get married, and then pray to God to have some children. So we do whatever is within our power, and then we ask God for the rest. The farmer plants the seed and does everything, waters it and everything, and then says, I put my trust in God, and then he prays to God, give me a good harvest. So there are some things which are within our control, and some things which definitely have to be left up to God. But we cannot neglect our part and then still pray to God, give me a good harvest. There's no sense asking God to give you a good harvest if you didn't go tilling the soil and planting your seed, you see? So it has to be a two-way street.
Now, looking at this verse, usually whenever we discuss a verse, there's another aspect of it that scholars tend to discuss, and we might not get into discussion too. Is there anything with this verse that we haven't yet discussed, but you think is important?
Yes, the fact that it mentions ma bi anfusihim, that which is within themselves. Anfus is the plural of nafs, which means soul, and the souls of individuals have to be worked on as well. We talked about planting seed and so on, but what about that which is internal to us? Unless we change the state of our own souls, then we cannot really expect good from God. I mean, He will be good as He is normally anyway, because that is His nature. But to get God's mercy and favor to ourselves, we have to really work on our souls. And we have to improve and polish it and remove all of the difficulties, or rather the evil things that come to be attached to the soul.
So this is to say then, for change to really develop, one could easily say that one has to become, or the community itself has to become a good Muslim community. There have to have Muslim morals exist, and there has to be, there has to be a going back to the Quran type of thing going on before we see any real change.
That's right. The Quran speaks of a nafsul ammara, and it also can be translated as the degenerate soul, and it speaks also as the nafsul lawama. That's the soul that blames itself. So you have a soul that still has a conscience here, and then it speaks also as of the nafsul mutmainna. That is the soul that is tranquil, at peace. According to Muslim scholars, we have to develop ourselves, we have to work on our souls to transform it from that nafsul amara, that degenerate soul, bring it to eventually to a tranquil soul. But that goes through the middle stage, which is the blaming soul, one that is ready to say, look, you have done wrong, you've got to shape up here. And there are many different ways in which we can polish the soul or to improve our state, but you are right. Only if the community is willing to do this can we then expect that God will bring glory to the community. Otherwise, whatever past glory was there would just simply be taken away.
So would it be safe then to say that if the community does go through this change, and if we do have a whole breed, a community which is following the Quran as it's supposed to be followed, then wouldn't the work that's supposed to be done anyways? I mean, the Quran teaches people that they should be active and they should work for their living, etc. So this is to say that if we do complete this part, everything else should follow on its own.
Absolutely. If people work on themselves, improve themselves as individuals, then naturally all of the fruits that will come from such an improved state of the soul will be manifest in these persons and in the community as a whole.
Now, before we close, can you recite the verse one more time, please?
Yes, it says, "Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma bi qawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim." God does not change the condition of a people until they change that which is with themselves.
Thank you, Brother Shabir.
You're welcome.
We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned.